Thank you for participating in the side event of the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit, Advancing Multi-Sectoral Approach for Nutrition, Experience of IFNA and its Future, chaired by JICA and NEPAD. I'm Yoji Matsui, JICA headquarters, serving as the MC of this event. This event, I'm sad, introducing IFNA, which is the Initiative for Food and Nutrition Security in Africa, and proposed approaches, and sharing lessons learned from the initiative and the field activities. This event is having two parts. Part one is delivering keynote speeches, introduction of IFNA, and its proposed approaches, which is a multi-sector approach, nutrient-focused approach, as well as NEPAD's guideline of homegrown school feeding. And part two is the panel discussions on country-level activities and practical shape of the multi-sectoral approach and other approaches on the ground. And for the timekeeping, this is the announcement for the panelists. I will ring the bell once, 1 minute before the end of each presentation, and twice at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. So let me open the mic to the chair of the panel one moderator, which is Ms. Kefiri Moalosi, the Senior Nutrition Officer for the NEPAD. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for really convening this very important side event for IFNA. As you know, IFNA is a very important initiative now in advancing nutrition in Africa and also accelerating the implementation of the Malabo Declaration as well as the SDGs and building on the Africa that we want. Without wasting much time, Chair, if you allow, I will start by introducing NEPAD to the meeting today, and as well as, for example, giving the welcome remarks that we'll be anticipating from the NEPAD side as well before we work on the actual program of today's event. So, Chair, without wasting much time, I want to really acknowledge that Japanese government, together through IFNA, has actually done a lot since 2016 by delivering what is actually important in addressing nutrition and food security in the continent. You've already said so much about the objectives of why we're here today. Obviously, we're here to really advance multi-sectoral approach for nutrition through IFNA lens, and as well as expanding the IFNA approach to the rest of the African member states. Chair, I would like to deliver on my speech, if that is okay from your side.
Okay.
This speech is actually delivered on behalf of Madam Fatih Nzi Hassan, who is the head of Women Capital and Institution Development in NEPAD. She has been leading this process since last year, and she is not feeling well today. She's in the hospital today, so this is why I'm delivering this on her behalf. Good morning, good afternoon to you all. We also want to recognize the presence of Ms. Basato, the Vice President of JICA. Konnichiwa. I bring you greetings from Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, the CEO of AD&NEPAD and the entire AD&NEPAD family. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the first IFNA side event at the margins of the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit, which is focused on the everyone, everywhere needs good nutrition to live a healthy and productive life. This side Global Nutrition Summit was much anticipated since we could not hold it last year due to COVID-19 pandemic. Please allow me to start by refreshing your memories that African Union Development Agency, together with JICA, launched IFNA at the 6th Tokyo International Conference for Africa Development, which is JICA 6 in 2016 in Nairobi, Kenya. Today, I'm proud to inform you all that IFNA is well advanced in Africa and working very closely with the regional economic communities and its member states. For instance, over a month ago, IFNA organized a hybrid REX and Partners workshop with the support of AD and NAPAD and of course JICA, which was very, very successful. The workshop brought together more than 23 countries from the East and Southern Africa regional communities, which is COMESA, EAC, IGAD, and SADC. These platforms were aimed to establishing a collaboration to accelerate the implementation of food and nutrition security program to advance actions in Africa in line with the SDGs and the Malabo. Just to reiterate that we also were able to convene another workshop which was targeted for the North African countries, Central African countries, and West African countries. And that also was a success. This was done in collaboration with ECAS, which is in Central Africa, AMU, North Africa, ECOWAS, and of course, Western African Health Organization, which is WAHU. That was also very successful. So to date, IFNA has been expanded to more than 45 countries in Africa, and that is an achievement. Now, at the JICA 7 held in Yokohama in 2019, the decision to expand the IFNA beyond the 10 initial countries were reached. And like I mentioned, we have actually done extremely well in advancing IFNA footprint in Africa. In the process to achieve the IFNA Yokohama Declaration, IOD and NAPAD has spearheaded the convening of these regional meetings. We have done so well that all the regs, for example, are now officially part of the IFNA processes. Ladies and gentlemen, convening this third event on advancing the multi-sectoral and multidisciplinary of nutrition is very timely, as well as we are still faced with the global crisis of COVID-19, which is also worsening the rate of hunger and malnutrition in Africa. Just this week, we are hit by the fourth wave of COVID-19, which is Omicron, a new variant. When we all thought that we're obviously overcoming the virus, and now we're like, we are back to square one. This now calls for the great commitment from the stakeholders, including governments and of course, development partners. We need to work in restoring and reinforcing the nutrition and food system that was still affected by COVID-19. We all know that COVID-19 has disrupted the food systems in Africa and the world. Today, I'm honored to announce that AD and NAPAD is leading by example by endorsing the Tokyo Compact on Global Nutrition for Growth, which is envisioned to promote more investment for nutrition and implementation on the ground. And that was IFNA is doing. IFNA is implementing on the ground. IFNA is working with the communities in Africa. This compact will also contribute to the realization of the African Union of Nutrition. As you may know, we are anticipating that the next AU Summit theme should be centered around nutrition. And this will be done to unlock the power of nutrition, which we're all speaking about for this Nutrition for Growth Summit. Now, according to the 2021 State of Food Security and Nutrition in the world, malnutrition in all its forms still remains a big challenge. The actual figures are expected to be higher due to the effects of this pandemic. Although it is not yet possible to fully account for the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic due to data limitations, we all know that in Africa, we are limited when it comes to data. We have challenges of producing quality data. Now in 2020, it has estimated that 22%, which is 149.2 million, of children under 5 years of age were affected by stunting. That is 6.7%, which is 45.4 million, were suffering from wasting. And 5.7%, which is 38.9 million, were affected by the overweight and obesity. Today's side event focused on advanced multi-sectoral approach to nutrition will definitely contribute to the implementation of the Africa agenda. Of course, looking to the AD and NAPAD strategy from 2020 to 2025. So now it is my plea that we will continue to work together to scale up some of the best practical interventions, such as the home school feeding that the speaker has alluded to eradicate malnutrition and food insecurity in Africa. All this also is done under the umbrella of IFNA, which we all know that is centered in AD and NAPAD. Now, all these key interventions are also stipulated in the Africa Common Position for Food Systems, which was developed during the United Nations Food Systems dialogues. That is also to respect the national pathways that the member states in Africa has actually developed. I now look forward to discussing progress to date and meeting our today's objectives, which are to share key achievements, good lessons, and discussing mechanism of accelerating this initiative forward, given that 2025 is very, very, very near. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to the government of Japan for hosting such a critical summit and for the continued support to Africa in fighting hunger and malnutrition, and of course through the IFNA lens. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your attention and wish you the best deliberations. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your opening remarks.
Let's start the keynote speeches. First speech is by Mr. Ban, IFNA Chief Officer. Over to you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Basu, second chairperson. So next 10 minutes, I just would like to briefly give my presentation on the IFNA itself. What is the concept, what we have done, and then also what are we going to do from now. Let me share my screen. You can see my name. Right. So the next 10 minutes, I just would like to briefly explain about the IFNA. Okay. So the contents of my presentation are 3 points. First of all, I'd like to just to see global and Africa context on food and nutrition issues, followed by the policy framework on food, nutrition, and security in Africa. And then lastly, how it works, what has done so far, and whether what we're going to do. In terms of global context, last 10 years, sort of a successful years for the nutrition, since the fact that there's all kinds of, commitments and guidelines, and then the targets are set. So as you know, there are 6 global targets that was set by the WHO. Although the achievement of these the targets is very, very difficult, I would say. It's very slow to achieve. Some indicators are even getting worse. So we have to make sure that these global targets are met. When it comes to the Africa, especially around the number of undernourishments, actually it's constantly growing, which is very unfortunate. And then also I need to say that everybody knows. So since 2020, because of the COVID infection, the number of undernourishment, hungry people are growing. Another note that I'd like to make is that the percentage of undernourishment, very unfortunately, the percentage of Africa is twice as the world average, which is over 20%. And then the percentage of undernourishment within the Africa region. Unfortunately, the Northern Africa is actually over 30%, which is a triple higher than world average. So as you already know, the Africa already has a large share in terms of in all forms of malnutrition. So as a fact that the number of population is expected to grow, keep growing, and then it'll be doubled by 2050. So unless we start working really hard to eradicate hunger and malnutrition now, otherwise the consequences will be very, very bad. On the other side, Africa has already set all kinds of the policy framework and then guidelines and strategies. So important thing is to make sure these guidelines and policies are actually implemented and met. So a few months ago, United Nations Food Systems Summit, actually the African Union submit their position on food systems. So we have to make sure, all the commitments Africa already made to be met with the support of development partners. Namely, for example, the cut-up or Malabo declaration figures has to be kept or goals have to be met. Although African countries are working really, really hard to eradicate all the issues around food and nutrition, the still number is quite high. For example, stunting rate is actually the average of so-called sub-Saharan Africa is over 30%, although the Malabo target is 10% by 2025, which is very, very hard to meet. So with that in mind, so IFNA was established back in 2016. With the objective of acceleration of implementation of food and nutrition security policies. That means is that we help African governments to operationalize the policy around food and nutrition to be implemented on our ground to achieve the goals of the Malabo Declaration and the SDG. And then back in 2019, so we have agreed to expand our work to African countries, all African countries, as the fact that we have started with 10 countries. So IFNA actually is supported by the 10 so-called steering committee members, including obviously NEPAD and JICA, together with the AUN agencies and then the multi-financial institutions to assist the African governments to operationalize their policies on food and nutrition security through prioritization of actions with capacity development and then also the alignment of needs and resources based on some technical approaches, which are multi-sector approach and the nutrient-focused approach, which will be presented by the following presentations. I would like to talk about just a little bit about what is multi-sectoral approach. Everybody talks about the importance of a multi-sectoral approach. Obviously, it is really important for the nutrition improvement. But what is it? What is it really, and how is it done? So that is a question. So IFNA actually, like I said, has some technical approaches to bring some sort of one of ways of one of our solutions in terms of how we make sure more efficient nutrition improvement through our technical approach. Our understanding of a multi-sector approach is to maximize the role of the agriculture sector as a supplier of acute nutrient, and then also ensuring the complementary linkage with other sectors, which also, as I mentioned, our colleagues will also give us more detailed presentations after this. And then another key approach to ensure the multi-sectoral intervention for IFNA is a nutrient-focused approach. That is one of a food-based nutrition improvement approach, basically to deliver the dietary diversification, focusing more on supply and the consumption of specific nutrients that is needed for to solve the nutrition issues. And this approach is actually that gives clarity around the roles of each sector. I'm not going to talk about in details because of the time, but this is the implementation framework of IFNA. What we are going to do within this initiative. We are in actually the middle area, which is a scale-up phase until 2022, to expand our work based on the 3 pillars that we have already set: Pillar 1, advocacy; Pillar 2, capacity development; and the Pillar 3, acceleration of implementation on the ground. I just would like to just briefly explain what we have done and what we're going to do. In 2016, we have launched, and since 2017, we have started working on the ground with some member states to come up with the action plans to fill the gap between the policy and the actions on the ground. We have come up with an action plan called the IFNA country strategy for actions since 2018. And then afterwards, we have, by the leadership of a member state, this action plan was developed and validated within a country for them to start working on the ground. In 2020, last year, because of the COVID, we had to do some other work, including the COVID-19 response, other than expansion of our work within Africa together with the RECs. We have started working with the 7 RECs under African Union. And then, as I said, so this year, actually, we have started working on the ground together with the, obviously, all the RECs, but also we have also started some pilot project on the ground. And then we are going to focus more on the capacity development from next year for the member states, government staff, to be able to have more capacity around the programming, analyzing programming, and then also implementation capacity around food and nutrition security issues. I'm not going to talk about in details, but as I mentioned, we are working on the different issues based on our 3 pillars of activities. Lastly, as I said, momentum in food and nutrition is actually growing last 10 years and even this year through United Nations Food System Summit in terms of food system. And also next week, actually, less than a week, we are going to have the 3rd Nutrition for Growth Summit here in Tokyo. So all kinds of the stakeholders in nutrition will make the commitments to tackle with the nutrition issues globally. And also we are hearing that African Union's next year's annual theme will be nutrition, which helps us to tackle on the nutrition issues in Africa. As you see, so all kinds of declarations and guidelines and policies are already there. And now we are making a big commitment. And now is the time for actions together. So this is one of my, the biggest message in my presentation. Thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Mr. Matsui.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pan. So next keynote speech is by Mr. Nakada on the IFNA promotion tools, which include the proposed approaches of IFNA. Over to you, Mr. Nakada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsui. My name is Shunichi Nakada, Senior Advisor, Japan International Cooperation Agency. I'm in charge of agriculture and nutrition, working closely with IFNA Secretariat. Today, I'm going to talk about 2 key sectors in IFNA action: multi-sector action and the nutrient-focused approach. First, I will start from multi-sector approach. In principle, multi-sector action is essential item for nutrition improvement. This is well understood among all the partners in the world. We try to verify this concept by examining the statistics from demographic health survey for 24 countries in Asia and Africa. We try to compare nutrition action from single sector, between single sector and multi-sector. This graph, blue color indicates impact of standalone intervention from caring practice to stunting reduction. Red color indicates combination of caring practice and wash practice. Green color indicates combination of caring practice plus agriculture. And purple color indicates combination of three interventions: caring, agriculture, and wash. And in case of Africa and Asia, it is clear that by adding more intervention, we can expect better nutrition impact. It is clear. And through this, we can verify our understanding of multi-sector action. In addition to that, we have another observation from this assessment. That is a comparison between among single sector, caring practice, agriculture, and wash. We conducted a comparison of these three sectors. And our result shows that only case of caring practice, it shows a significant impact on stunting reduction. Other two sectors, wash and agriculture, doesn't show a significant impact on stunting reduction. The implication from this is we have to, we mean agriculture sector, we have to change the way of program. How to add nutrition sensitive action on top of nutrition specific action. Meaning we have to start from health sector, what they are doing where for food, and then add agriculture action on top of it to respond the demand from health sector. That is the direction we have to make. Okay, this is another assessment result to verify the coverage of multi-sector action. Green color indicates combination of three sectors: agriculture, health, and wash. Yellow color indicates combination of two interventions, and pink color indicates single sector standalone action. And it is surprising for us that in Africa as well as Asia, multi-sector coverage from three sectors is only 2%. So all of us already understand the importance of multi-sector action, but in reality, the coverage is only 2%. So there is a big challenge in implementation of multi-sector action. So there could be a number of potential causes for which hinder multi-sector implementation, but I choose some of the common, typical challenges which I can observe in many countries. Two challenges derived from government implementation structure, and other two is related to nature of nutrition improvement. So first one is hinder implementation efficiency. In all countries, government structure is designed to implement problem solving through single sector approach or specialized approach. This is efficient in the sense that all stakeholders involved in this sector-specific approach has the same technical background. They can communicate easily and quickly for identification of the problem, find out solution, and implementation. This communication can be easily done because they have same background and experience. In case of nutrition action, we have to add another communication channel from other sector, which seriously deteriorate the efficiency of specialized approach. Next one is somewhat related to the previous one, conflict with autonomy. Government structure is divided into sector-specific ministry or agencies. Under this structure, each ministry have their own domain, in which they can design their own policy. They can manage their resources in personal resources or capital resources to implement their own action. By introducing multi-sector action framework, each ministry or department fear that they may lose control over their territory budget or human resources. This is also common challenge. Another one, next one is a mismatch target selection criteria. This is specific in case of nutrition. Especially, this is typical in agriculture and health, discrepancy in target selection criteria. When we formulate program or project in agriculture, we always look at area basis, which means it is efficient for agriculture intervention to conduct in the same agroecology, because agriculture system is strongly affected by a natural environment. So, and under that situation, we usually prefer better environment, which means better agricultural agroecology, better market access, to have a quick and strong impact, making use of limited resources. But however, nutrition problem usually occurs in the opposite side, vulnerable area, vulnerable population. We have some program or project focusing on that area, but still majority is on better environment. On contrary, in case of the health sector, the focus is on individual basis, because health status of a past human is strongly related with lifestyle, socioeconomic status, sex and age of each individual. So focus is on people with limited access to health service. And in case of nutrition, especially mother and child are the main target. And so because of this difference, there is a natural tendency that targeting of the project naturally different by among agriculture and health. Last one is monitoring challenge. As we all understand, in nutrition action, we have to focus different intervention to same household, same family member, which make a complex situation for project management. We have to properly monitor and evaluate a contribution of each different action, and we have to optimize resource allocation for different activities. So we have to establish clear and strong monitoring framework as well as indicator. Okay, then let's look at example in another sector. Multi-sector intervention is not special for nutrition. There are a number of cases which require multi-sector intervention. Food safety is one of the typical case for multi-sector action. Food is produced in one area and consumer is in another area. And in between producer and consumer, number of actors is involved. So to ensure food safety, harmonized action by all the stakeholders is required. So it is clearly multi-sector action. And I'm going to explain how it is implemented in real world. It is about drinking water safety. Suppose there is a case, there is a risk, health hazard of drinking water coming from some chemicals contamination, possibly from pesticide. Under that situation, what we do at the first stage is risk assessment to identify what is the potential hazard chemical. And once we identify the hazard chemical, we can set up acceptable level of contamination, which we call acceptable daily intake. Then, based on this ADI, we can set up sector-specific targets for drinking water, river water, and paddy field. Once we have established this causality as well as sector-specific indicator, we can easily delineate roles and responsibility among different sectors. Ministry of Health focusing on drinking water, Ministry of Environment focusing on river water, and Ministry of Agriculture focusing on paddy field. And based on that information, actually, in reality, each ministry work independently at the regular implementation. We don't communicate to each other because role and responsibility, sector-specific target is already established. And then question is whether we can introduce a similar process in nutrition action. I think there are several challenges to follow this same process, but I believe it is achievable, doable. The difficulty is in 2 points. One is in case of food safety, we can delineate role and responsibility based on location or target people, like river water or paddy field, farmer or consumer. But in case of nutrition improvement, target of intervention is always same, vulnerable population in vulnerable area. So it is rather complex. And another issue is to establish a causality framework. This is mostly already done, but especially like in case of caring health sector, there are already set of indicators, universal indicators, together with threshold value, same as in health and hygiene. However, in my view, the causal framework in food and agriculture is still need further investigation due to the complexity of food system. To establish a clear framework together with clarified role and responsibility, we still need to have a further investigation in food system. So in summary, recommendation, two groups of recommendation. One is how to ensure overlap among different sectors. We have to consider change the way of programming to prioritize nutrition-specific intervention first, followed by nutrition-sensitive action. And another issue is to construct clear role and responsibility together with sector-specific target. To do that, further investigation of food system is important. Okay, this is the first end of first part, and I move to the second part, which is nutrient-focused approach. This is how to link agriculture sector into nutrition intervention framework. Since the beginning of IFNA, we have visited many African countries, discussed with government officials, and this is one of typical scenery we see in the field of nutrition improvement in many countries. All of the country, nutrition improvement action is primarily driven by health workers. And the approach, methodology of health service is already well established in a universal system, such as IYCF, growth monitoring, supplementation, and nutrition education. The country, even if the country is different, the methodology is uniform, and the same message, key message is delivered to the beneficiary. But there is still a problem. Even local family understand the importance of balanced diet. They still have a challenge to implement this balanced diet due to limited access to nutritious food because of failure in the food system. What is failure in food system? Nutritious to achieve balanced diet, we need better access to nutritious food. But in reality, there is a problem in seasonal fluctuation of supply demand and availability and affordability. Also, there is a low cost unhealthy food is also prevailing in all over the world. Number of challenges existing in food system. This is primarily because nutrition sensitive approach or the concept of nutrition sensitive agriculture is still not fully integrated into food system. So how to improve the situation? Our idea is to introduce quantity-based target by assessing current diet, by comparing current diet and optimal diet, and identify nutrient gap in between current and optimal diet, then translate this gap into agricultural production. That is a basic idea, and this idea can be explained in the in this image. First step is to assess local food in terms of nutrient balance and diet, as well as dietary diversity. Then, based on that, we can make a kind of simulation. What kind of commodity we can add to fill a nutrient gap? So, by the collaboration between health worker and the agricultural expert, we can identify locally available food which can fill the nutrient gap on local diet. That is a basic concept. So to enable this process, we started to design smartphone-based application to assess current diet and identify nutrient gap, and convert this nutrient gap into agricultural production target. And based on that, create a synergy between health and agriculture sector. That is a basic flow. And in this application, I'm going to introduce. We built in 3 functions. First function is assessment of current diet in terms of nutrition balance as well as dietary diversity. And function 2 is identify locally available commodity which can fill the gap identified in function 1. And last function is how to integrate this identified nutrient-rich food into a conventional cropping system by developing a cropping calendar. Yeah, this is a flow I have just explained. First, start from identification of a locally typical diet, then making use of application, nutrition balance is assessed. Then, following that information, locally available food to fill the nutrition gap is identified. And this is integrated into local agricultural system by developing a nutrition-sensitive cropping calendar. That is a process, and there are 3 steps in this application, as I mentioned. First, this is an image of the application. As a first step to evaluate current diet, we have to put the information of each ingredient in the conventional diet, type of commodity, together with volume. Then a result shows the nutrient balance of the typical diet as well as dietary diversity. And based on this nutrient gap, we can consider what kind of commodity can fill this nutrient gap. And to identify the suitable commodity, we have to consider several aspects. Is it feasible in agroecology? Is it feasible in local dietary habits? Is it feasible in local economy? I mean, is it affordable enough for local people? So those series of criteria is summarized into 12 questions, which user can respond yes or no. Then final score will be presented, which is a feasibility score of each candidate commodity. And based on this function, a user can identify a locally suitable commodity to fill the nutrition gap. And the last function is to design optimal cropping pattern to ensure year-round availability of nutrition-rich food. nutrition. So now we have completed designing prototype of this application. I would like to all the participants to try to investigate this application and give a feedback for further improvement. Thank you very much.
And now I would like to invite Mr. Sato, Vice President of JICA, to have a closing remarks.
For your introduction, Matsuda, and good morning, afternoon, and even good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the co-chair of this event, Madam Fatih, and our friend of the NEPAD, and then to all the presenters and panelists for sharing your experiences and thoughts. I would also like to thank all the participants today for having stayed with us, and hope you have got something useful for your activities in the future. IFNA started in 2016, and since 2019, it's expanding to all African countries. Despite the following pandemic, IFNA has made such achievements as explained and shared with the world today, just before the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit, which is just a week away. The efforts which has been made so far by all the parties concerned, especially officials at the field level, deserve our respect. Today, we also have the challenges IFNA and its multi-sectoral approach faces and possible solutions to address these challenges. IFNA needs to take into account them for its future activities. It is my sincere hope that IFNA will continue to evolve for the nutrition improvement of all African people, and by sharing its experience as was made today, to contribute to the nutrition improvement of all the people in the world. Next year, 2022 would be AU Year of Nutrition, and Japanese government will also host TICAT 8, the 8th Tokyo International Conference of African Development in Tunisia. By continuing to leverage such critical momentum, I look forward to working with you all to promote IFNA and all the initiatives for nutrition. We, JICA, in cooperation with ODNEPAD and other international partners, will continue to fully support the efforts for nutrition by the countries that need it. Finally, please allow me to take this opportunity to let you know all that JICA will host another side event tomorrow on December 2nd, titled Empowering Every Child for Healthier Future, Potential of School Feeding and Nutrition Education. And we will also hold a high-level event on December 7th, on the day of N4G, titled Human Security and Nutrition, addressing the double burden of malnutrition through the realization of collective impact. Information on these side events is on JICA homepage, so please feel free to join them as well. Again, thank you very much for your listening and participation to this N4G side event. See you again soon. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sato. And before closing this meeting, let me have two announcements. The first one is a questionnaire for this event, which will be sent by email to you. And also, you can see this slide. As introduced by Mr. Nakada, we created a demonstration application of nutrient app, which enables the extension workers for diet analysis and recommendation on the additional food based on the nutrient ingredients. Please try the nutrient app, which will be using the link and also QR code, which is valid until December 28th. And also, please provide feedbacks through the IFNA website. Now, I would like to close this meeting. Thank you very much for your participation.